the queens of the DMV podcast, Real Talk and Real Estate. My name is Arnita Greene, and my co-host, Cher Castillo and Arial Pegues. Listen to our podcast weekly on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And we host every episode on Thursday at 4 p.m. Right, ladies? Our guest today is my partner, Shameeka Price. Hey, girl.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Today, we will be talking about understanding FHA 203 renovation loans. And we just going to get right on in. Hey, Shameeka.
I
don't think a lot of people do not know that Shameeka not only is a broker, but she also is a general contractor.
Oh, wow.
She's a boss.
And I actually saw her in action one time because I didn't believe it, but then I saw her in action for a property that I needed help on, and she is no joke, y'all.
Are you referring to the property that you broke the measuring tape?
Sorry. We're going to get right on in. Shameeka, just tell us a little bit about yourself and, how you started to become a general contractor.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to thank you ladies for having me today. It is an honor. I've been licensed for approximately 18 years now. Let me back up. I've been in real estate for approximately 18 years, licensed for about 17. And I say that because my husband is also a licensed real estate agent, and he's been practicing for almost 30 years now. So I kind of was brought into it by way of him. But I started off as a salesperson, and 3 years in, I decided I'm going to get my broker's license. And then I set this goal of just continuously elevating so that I, could continuously learn and grow in the industry. So after getting my real estate broker's license, I decided, okay, what's next? I realized that, okay, I'm always around these investment properties, and there's a lot of renovations going on. I'm running into clients that need work done at their properties. Maybe that's my next goal. And then I was doing a lot of investments as well, and looking for greater opportunities to partner with the state and federal government. So I decided, I need credentials for this. So let me go and get my general contractor's license and see where it leads me from there. After that, I got my home ownership training certification and a few other hats that I wear: mom, wife. I'm a chairwoman. I sit on a few boards as well. Outside of that, I like to have fun with my friends.
Jack of all trades, like Cher.
So while we're talking about hats, I want to say congratulations on being voted Agent of the Year. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. I was like, me?
Of course. Why not you?
I think because I'm always so busy working that I don't come up for air. And then when I come up, I'm like, okay, I guess I am actually doing something.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I noticed that I've been watching you for years now. And I remember even taking a class with you. You had taught a class on FHA 203k loans. And I thought that this would be a good session for you to talk about today. But can you get into your FHA 203k experience and, just to tell us what is a FHA 203k loan?
So an FHA 203k loan is a hence FHA, it's Federal Housing Authority loan that's guaranteed by the federal government. So it's the government's renovation loan. It's insured by the government. So what it actually means is that you are qualifying or making an application for a loan that would allow you to purchase a property and renovate it at the same time. And there's different levels of an FHA 203k. It depends on the amount the amount of repairs that need to be performed. It's going to dictate the type of FHA 203k loan that you would actually qualify for or apply for. Property conditions kind of dictate that.
Okay. So do you think that they're a good idea? When
So let me tell you about my first experience with the FHA 203k. I think it was back in 2005. Actually, my first transaction was a 203k. I did not know much about real estate, period. Just being in the background, maybe processing, pushing a little bit of paperwork for my husband, but I didn't know much about anything. So we were in a very competitive market at that time, and inventory was crazy. Like I had recently relocated to the area, so I didn't have a large client base. So the clients that did have, they were like first-time home buyers, and we were trying to make something happen. The properties that were left for us were properties that were, in dilapidated condition, or properties that required a lot of work. And so I went back to the lender and I'm like, I cannot find the property. We keep on losing on these bids. Like, what can I do to be competitive? These properties need work. They don't have money to make these repairs. And so the lender, who's extremely experienced at that time, so he says, well, they could do a 203k. And I said, I only know about a 401k. What is a 203k? And so he says, it's a renovation loan offered by HUD, which will allow them enough money to buy the property and purchase it. So I said, okay, let's set up a meeting. We arranged a meeting between the client and myself. And while they were getting educated, I was getting educated as well, because I had no clue about, the process. During this meeting, I did discover that, this is going to require a lot of moving parts. You need contractors, you need consultants, and I'm new to this industry. So I'm thinking, how am I going to find all these people? And it's not like, I could go back and tell my husband, I need you to jump in, because he wasn't licensed as a general contractor, although he was doing investment property. So I went and I talked to the client. I said, you do have an option of getting a renovation loan. The interest rate may be a little bit higher than what you originally quoted, but if we work the numbers properly, then you can qualify to purchase the home and renovate it and kind of bring it to your standards, and it will still be affordable. So I said, we just have to look at properties that are below what you're actually approved for that would allow for that cushion. And so that property was really a soap opera. I mean, with the homeowner. But after that property, my next client fell into the same qualifications. And so it was like back to back. And I swear that after those two transactions, I was just a pro. You know what? There's definitely a market for this. Like, I don't know many people. This is going to be my niche right here. And so I just set out to kind of educate myself and perfect it. And so I would say that I've been doing it for approximately 17 years now. And I think very highly of renovation loans, because you can make them your own. A person could buy a house and make it their own.
Absolutely. I actually bought my house the same way, and did a 203k loan. I mean, it's not as smoothly as I would like the process to be, because, you do have to use a 203k contractor. So it's not like you always get to choose your own contractor. And then there are some fees that I was not expecting to see at closing that are quite expensive. And then the draw schedule, you have to align yourself with a contractor that actually has some money in the bank, because they have to come out of pocket to be able to pay those, draws before, versus, just getting the money up front. So they have to cover those funds. And I've seen some of my clients actually have quite a bit of trouble with contractors doing that, because they're unable to cover. So it creates a delay in the process. Have you seen that as well, Shameeka?
Well, Cher, that is one of the main reasons why I decided to get my contractor's license as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because my clients were running into contractors that were giving them proposals, or giving them quotes that they really couldn't meet, or they didn't have enough funds to actually carry the entire project.
Right.
And looking to the clients to spend money, and the clients didn't have money. And another thing was that the pricing on some of the jobs was extremely high. And so, I decided, what, this is not as hard. This is not like a science project. It kind of is, but in a sense, you don't have to make it that. And so, that was one of the reasons why I decided to get my license, my contractor's license, to help these clients out. A lot of folks want to use family members and so forth. You just have to use a licensed contractor. you are required to have an FHA consultant, but the contractor just has to be licensed in the particular state or area that you know, are renovating your home in. And so that's half the battle.
So that has that changed over the years since
Yeah.
the inception of FHA loans, or 203k loans rather, because I remember when you had to be a certified 203k contractor, which made the pool very small, but opening that up, definitely I can see how that changes things.
Yeah. Yep. Because I don't think they had you know, a long list, and then you had a lot of people. You know, it became popular to do a 203k renovation, and they didn't have the bandwidth to, you know, assist all clients that were doing that sort of loan. So
Yeah.
yeah. So you just need to have active license, insurance, and the banks they do a pretty good job at vetting the contractors as well. So, and then the consultants, they definitely are required to be FHA certified consultants, and the bank rely on them heavily to supervise the job and make sure that everything is falling in line. So I've had a great experience with the consultants. Now, we do know that the consultants, inspectors, and everyone in the transaction is at the buyer's choice, right? However, they come to us and they don't know, you know, which way to go. Most of them don't have a contractor or a consultant, and they don't know what to do. They just know they want this house, and you kind of coach them through understanding what it could potentially look like, you know, the walkthrough. And so gathering or assembling the perfect team for your clients, to me, is just the perfect transaction. That's the ideal way to do it. And to me, it's the only way to do it, because you don't want to get halfway in the transaction and things start falling apart because your team is inexperienced. So for me, I kind of do all the vetting of everyone: the lender, consultant, contractor. We don't have much choice with appraisers, of course. And yeah, and that's about it. And I'm not, as far as it relates to 203k jobs, I'm not allowed to be the real estate agent and the contractor on a 203k loan. It's a conflict of interest for them.
Oh, that was something.
Right. So I can't do both. So in most cases, when I'm doing 203k jobs, I'm acting in the capacity. Now I can act in the capacity of a subcontractor. And so my sister's a contractor also. So she can be the sub, or I have a colleague that's a contractor, and I'll be the sub on the job as well. Therefore, I can still come in and assist the client with my pricing as well, so that it's very much affordable for them.
So does the 203k consultant, does the buyer choose the 203k consultant, or do they have that option, or or just kind of get assigned one?
Yes, the buyer can choose the consultant, just like the home inspector. So they have the same option. They just have to be on the HUD list in order to qualify to do the scope of work, to write up the scope of work.
Is a consultant like a home inspector?
In most cases, the consultants are home inspectors. They just have the extra credentials to be an FHA consultant.
Shameeka, I haven't done a 203k in a while. Is there still a limit on how much they can renovate for the house?
Actually,
it was 30,000. Like, has that changed?
Well, 30,000 is a streamline, and it doesn't require as much as a full-blown renovation, as they call it. Now, I'm doing one now, and the job itself is $250,000. So there's no limit as long as the client qualifies for the amount that they're borrowing.
Got it.
Yeah.
So isn't the limit based on the equity in the property, like the sales price versus the after renovated value?
Absolutely. And so that's where the appraiser comes into play, because you can find this home and you can have all these great ideas about putting rooftop decks on it and, you know, extensions, bump outs, all sorts of other things. But if the value doesn't support it, then you'll have to reduce the expenses or the amount of your repairs in order to make it work. And in some cases, it just may not work if the property is overpriced.
And there's a cap per zip code, right, on what the limit is on what you can borrow on a 203k, right?
Not that I'm aware of, only on an FHA. It needs just the loan itself has to fall within the limits.
Oh, the loan itself, but not the renovation part. Yeah. Okay.
This kind of reminds me of the Property Brothers. And I know every time the Property Brothers goes into a property that they find something, it's always something extra. That's wrong. And my husband gets pissed off every time. He hates the show.
Oh yeah. You know what? And so that's why it's important also to have the right contractor and a consultant, right? The consultant comes through, and you have some consultants that will come through and they just do a regular inspection. I'm sorry, a regular consultation. Like they're walking through and they're only like really doing a visual inspection, not so much a home inspection where they're testing the systems and, turning on water and that kind of stuff. And sometimes you can't do those things because utilities are not in operating order. But I like to have an inspection. Like I requested my clients have an inspection and a consultation at the same time because I don't want any unforeseens later on. Now, I've not been on a job that we haven't discovered something that requires exhausting the contingency fund.
Mm-hmm.
So because you want these unforeseens, the lenders require that you have a 10% or a 15% contingency fund. It depends on the bank that you're working with. And so that 10% doesn't always cover the problem either. And then that's where you have to submit change orders. The client may not be able to get that marble that they wanted. You might have to reduce that to like granite or, something else so that they can get the necessary things completed. You want to make sure all of the major systems are, functioning properly, roofing, structural, that kind of stuff before you start getting into spending extra money on cosmetics.
So Shameeka, what would you say to a buyer that, is new to a renovation loan when they have no idea about picking finishes or design or anything like that? So they may feel overwhelmed by the idea of doing a full-blown renovation.
So I have a lot of clients that are like, just do what you want to do. And I'm like, nah, I don't have to live here, okay? I might paint this whole house white. And that may not work for you, You may not want the color granite or the stone that I pick out. So I kind of send them pictures, or I may tell them to walk through a new construction project, or just kind of go online to get an idea of what you're interested in. But I find that in most cases, if I send them pictures of another home that we've renovated, they kind of choose ideas from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And ask them, what kind of fixtures do you like? What kind of finishes do you like? You like gold, silver, black? What are you into? And most of them are visual. So you have to definitely give them an idea of, which way to go. And I kind of take it away from them because if a buyer gets overwhelmed, the whole project goes south. And they will keep coming every day, getting in your way if you don't come to an agreement in the beginning as to what they're looking for in this home. And then they'll come with change orders, and they don't understand that anytime you change paint colors, that costs money. There's labor involved, and there's material involved. So I like to get a complete understanding in the beginning, and that comes by way of showing by example.
How long does this process take? Like from maybe start to finish, how long could it take?
So the loan process sometimes can take up to 45 days or even longer, depending on the speed of your team. Mm-hmm. So it's very important that once you identify the property, you get your property contract accepted, ratified, that you get your consultants out there right away, because you want them to assess the property value just to make sure everything's even feasible. So you get them out there. You need their report in order to get the process going, in order to submit it to the lender so that the lender can order the appraisal and send it to underwriting. So if you are on it, like for me now, I'm like right away in week one, within 1 to 3 days, I'm like, I need the contract out there. I'm on him as the consultant. I need this report back right away. Once I get that back, we can close on the loan at the minimum of 30 days. So I would say 30 to 45 days for closing. And then it depends on the scope of work. It's going to determine how long the project is going to take. I just did a project of my own, not 203k, but I just project of my own. And it was like, it took me 5 weeks to do it. And it was an entire house. So it just depends on how fast the workers are moving, how fast you get those permits. We all know that there's a delay with everything pretty much trying to return to the norm. You still do a lot of things virtually, so that causes a delay also. So as soon as you get the permits and the budget is created and you have your team assembled, you get working, and it depends on the size of the home, and that's going to determine your timeline.
So how long was your longest project, your longest 203k project?
I would say 6 months, about 6 months. And I need to think a little bit long, because I want to say I had one that was 8 months, because the client was going, yeah, it had to be 8 months, because the outline.
What kind of problems did you run into with the 8 months? Like what did you come across that caused the project to go longer?
Sometimes it's inspections. Like you may have the code may change. You have inspectors that come out. They want you to do things differently. Supplies are on back order. It's mainly been for us supplies.
Yeah.
Or a client will come in, and this particular client, where it was a delay, he designed the bathroom, and then he came in and he wanted this bathroom totally different. And it's kind of like, we have an agreement, but you don't want to go back and forth with someone about a home that you want them to live in and enjoy. So we did a whole bathroom and had to gut this bathroom and do it over for this client, because he just didn't like the outcome of the tile that he chose. That's a whole nother project, And so that took a little additional time. I'm not sure what else happened with that project.
I just think a lot of people, like, when they get into stuff like this, and this also goes for new construction too, that they're not realistic. That's the problem that I run into when I deal with these types of transactions, because people aren't realistic. They want everything fast, and you try to set expectations on, obstacles that you may face or things that may set the project back, but it's sometimes they understand and sometimes they don't. So, this is a good, list of things that could happen that could set, the time frame back, that actually is out of our control as agents, as consultants, as, contractors, especially when you have things on back order.
Yeah. Another thing, what actually went wrong with this house is that everything looked pretty good going in, but we discovered that there was a lot of termite damage behind the walls. So we had to completely take the basement down, dig it down, and kind of rebuild, pour concrete, put a water system in. It was a lot that we discovered actually with that project that had to be done. And like you said, clients don't understand that part. They understand that, well, you did a walkthrough before and you didn't point out this, but we don't have the ability to see what's under that big rose. Right.
Brothers, like I said,
See, the great thing is this. That's why you have the consultant. That's your backup, right? Because therefore, you have someone to kind of vouch for the things that you find. You have someone that's coming in and inspecting. So they know it's not just you pulling something out of your hat. You're not creating more jobs, more work so that you can get paid. They're actually finding things with you as well as you're walking through the property.
That person stays with you to the end.
Yeah. So in order to receive a draw, the consultant has to come through and confirm that the work is actually done in the proper workmanlike order as well and up to code. Okay. And then you also have the inspectors, the local or county inspectors that have to come out to inspect each phase of the project as well.
So would you say, like, the majority of the homes that you guys are renovating or that your clients are interested in, would you say the majority of those homes are distressed property, or are they just, property that people want to add square footage to, or that's in decent condition but just want to change maybe the layout? I'm seeing that for 203k, like, a lot of the homes are distressed, and so it's no telling what you find getting deeper into the process once you start renovating.
Yeah, most of the properties that we're working with are really distressed properties. Yeah. I just recently had one, and this doesn't happen all the time, where they just wanted to do a cosmetic upgrade or renovation on the property. They didn't want to move the house, the space that they have. They really enjoy it. They had tons of equity in the house, so they decided that they would just do a 203k refi. It was a refi into a 203k loan.
That's creative.
and they were able to do the entire house over, and it didn't cost much for them without having to move in this market. They didn't have to move in this market, right? That's how
And they had the equity.
construction.
Right. And they had the equity.
Yep. And they still have some equity left after that. So that's definitely one of the pros, right?
Right.
So, Shameeka, I have a question for you in terms of, because the nature of the market is so competitive, and typically distressed properties, as a developer, I'm flipping and I'm targeting probably the same properties that your clients are targeting, but I'm coming in with cash or hard money. What are you doing that, and you might have to kill me if my secret, but what are you doing that you're beating out investor clients and able to get 203k offers accepted?
So I'm going to say that, so I do flip, well, I don't like to use the term flip, but I do investment properties also, right? And I'm finding that the difference between purchasing an investment property or a property that's going to be home owner occupied with a 203k is the pricing. See, when we come in as investors, we're looking for a significant savings, right? So that we can renovate, and the cost of reselling that property also has to be factored in. But these people are purchasing this home and they're going to live there. So even if, so we're looking for value after the repair. We're looking to have, a certain amount of money left over after repair, right?
Mhm.
They're just looking for this property to meet the appraised value because they're going to be living in this property. So we're looking for two different things. So most of the properties that I'm winning over for these people are above the investor's threshold.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I'm starting to see a lot more of those. A lot of those properties like require that the buyer, be occupied and not investor purchasing it. I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
Like
those properties.
Hmm?
Well, I'm sorry. Those properties in most cases are government-owned properties, or there's some sort of code that's attached to them, like some sort of lending financing term that's set in the back, maybe through the investor, or maybe there's some sort of bond or something attached to that property that allows them to make those sort of restrictions on the property. And you'll find it most with like HUD homes, or maybe NACA homes or VA homes or something of that sort.
They will take 203k, won't they?
Well, no. What she's saying is that an investor cannot just purchase those homes.
Right.
They want them to be offered for at least 10 days to an owner occupant, or maybe longer than that. First, they want to give, so they're trying to increase home ownership opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's something tied to it in the back, something political tied to it in the background that is requiring them to put that in place. Yeah.
So I have another question. So when the loan ends, are they making the after? So let's say 45 days it closes. Is that their actual mortgage payment, or do they have to wait till after the home is done?
They have to, no, your mortgage starts just like a typical loan. Like your mortgage will start. Now, there are some cases where you can escrow your mortgage payments for a few months, but it depends on the lender.
Okay.
Yeah. I've done one where where the client has escrowed their monthly payments for 3 months or so. And that might have been actually an investor, not an actual owner occupied property.
Okay.
Your loan terms kick in immediately. Your payment terms kick in immediately. Yeah. And that's one of the biggest things. Like I've had a client say, oh, well, you can take as long as you want because I don't have to pay this mortgage. No, you have to pay this mortgage
Exactly.
immediately when it comes due. And that's 30 to 45 days later, your loan is going to be due. So, yeah. Yeah.
So are you doing many of these deals right now because of the market?
I have 3 going on right now. And one of them I actually, two. One is a HUD home. And what many people don't, it's just like my little secret. Everyone should know it. I don't mind. Look, I always say, I'm not going to share it. I always share. I always share. There's enough for all of us. But with HUD, if you find a HUD foreclosure, HUD does not require the buyer to put down 3.5%. there's a program that will allow the buyer to put down $500 or $100. I'm sorry, $100 down. And there's a incentive for the real estate agent of $500 for some of these properties, right? So just think, you're buying a whole house by putting $100 down. Now you do need your own closing cost money because that we're in a competitive market. Even HUD's not really. They'll give the closing money if the net is right, but in most cases we're not asking for closing because we want to win the transaction, right? So $100 down, and you can get this house by just paying that in your closing costs, and you're in. And that's HUD.
I used to run those HUD listings, so I know all about that.
Yeah, and you have to use FHA financing, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for the nugget.
HUD's really good to work with. Also, you have a whole team that has a contract that you work alongside with in those transactions as well. You have local agents.
Oh no, go ahead.
You have local agents that list the property, but they're really not the point of contact. You want to get things through, you have to find someone to talk to over there at the HUD office. It's not HUD. They have a contractor that manages their properties, their assets.
Okay.
And now we're talking about, not renovation loans. So I was going to go into another renovation loan, but I forgot we're talking about 203Ks. But
yeah, I was going to ask you this because you just kind of like, it just popped up when we started talking about HUD properties, but so we're talking about outlets that you use to find properties that would work for the 203K. What do you think about auction properties? Like, would those work in a process for a 203K? I mean, I know they have that premium attached, and sometimes that could throw the numbers off. Could someone get
you said it? Yeah, you said it. It's the numbers. So as long as the numbers work, any property will work. As long as you can get the financing for it via HUD, it will work. It's just the numbers have to make sense. The sales price, the renovation costs, and all of the closing fees inclusive of that auction fee has to work.
So I know Flip Queen has an equation that she uses. Do you have an equation that you use with your customers when you're trying to figure out if this works for their situation?
My
just CMA
analysis when I work with my
yeah.
Market analysis is like, here's what this property is selling for. Here's the amount of work that needs to be done. Here's what the after value will be, after repair value will be. Does it work for you? Here's what the payment is going to look like.
Yeah.
Does it work for you?
I love it.
Yeah, there's so many formulas. To me, it's just simple math. Simple math.
It's true.
Numbers don't lie. Yeah.
Well, this was amazing. Thanks, Shameeka, for coming and talking about FHA 203K. I know we'll get plenty of people, first-time home buyers or anybody reaching out to us about it. So thank you so much for joining the Queens of DMV today.
Thanks for having me. You ladies are always having fun. You always have a wealth of information. So it is really an honor to be a guest here on your show today.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, like, I'm one of your biggest fans, Shameeka.
Mm-hmm. I'm to all you ladies too. You need to know that as well. As well. And like we shared today, a lot of information. So we know there's a lot to go around, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience that can be shared amongst one another as well as with everyone else. So I do really appreciate this platform. I mean, I've watched quite a few of your shows, and you all are doing an amazing job. So I want to applaud you ladies too.
Thank you so much.
And as always, everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Queens of the DMV. And we are signing out with our co-host. I'm Arnita Greene, and we are signing out with our co-host, Arial Pegues and Cher Castillo. And as always, listen to us every Thursday on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
Bye,
everybody.
Bye-bye.